Okay, so we're on the last stretch of getting this done, and of course it is the most important, right? So in this case, now we're ready for you to, unless you already have, which if you have, totally great, go ahead and walk through, let me go to the right one, the section 1, which is relatively short, and section 2. Now I tried to give the heads up last time about this, installing the commander. When I first saw him do it when I was beginning the summer watching him, I'm like, oh cool, something new I haven't used before. And as I've spent the day really integrating this into my local Windows environment, my virtual that I talked about last time, there are a few issues that crop up, mostly because we are, one thing he hasn't done here that we are adding is the GitHub part. And that does create this, that doesn't work great in Commander. And I found out why. So this is also kind of part of the nature of what we're into, which is sometimes things don't work the way you think they should. So I'm just going to switch over to Windows real quick and show you some of the things that I researched. First, I couldn't, I was trying to get my Commander to launch within that, and it was saying that, and you may not know what I mean by launching within VSCode. I'm going to show you in a minute what that means. And you may, if you run into this error, right, they talk about why. So, this is just part of, again, it's part of figuring things out. And not that you have to know everything, but this is also why we have chat and other things, and for you to come see me if you're having any challenges here. So as I was reviewing and trying to get things to work on my local environment, what I wanted was for my commander just to be part of the integrated terminal inside of VSCode. Now, Andrew doesn't actually talk about the integrated terminal at this point, and he's running Commander separately to actually run the node code that you're going to write. You only write one line of code for this section. But I just wanted to show you, because this is the way I work, and I find it best. So you can open the integrated terminal by doing View, and then going into integrated terminal. For Windows, you can do Control plus it's over the, what do they call that, the accent, I guess. And anyway, you can open it up here. The problem I ran into was Bash wouldn't work on VS Code after I'd done all the steps to make Commander work. So I almost wanted to just uninstall Commander, which you can do. But what you're going to want to do, and again, I'm just previewing a little bit here, when you run git bash, if you have issues with Commander, just you can run git bash, right? And then from here, pwd, that's my directory. Now for Windows, I could have put it anywhere, just like I did on my Mac, right? So I could have, let's do an ls here, right? I could have made a directory. I think there's called docs, right? And then I could have made a directory here, mkdir. So all those commands you could do on the git bash. And like I said, I still have to do this last part of Commander to make it work the way I want it to. But anyway, I digress a little bit. So I just want to show you that if you don't want to, and you have been successful with getting git bash to work, you can totally do that. Okay, so it's really up to you how you want to do that. I'm gonna do the steps required to make Commander work the way I want it to. But again, I can just run Commander from here, and then Commander, I can actually navigate to whatever directory I'm on to run the node command. So that's just on Windows. Okay, now again, I wasn't, it's one of those that I wish it had been a little more smooth, but sometimes it just works out that way. So now let me show you on my primary setup here, and I'm going to go ahead and open up VS Code. And I still have my directories here, right? So, and last time I think I had walked through, or I was getting ready to create this basic directory, and again, making sure you create it under both inside of your private. We haven't done the public one. We'll do that probably in our first learn together. And then under there I created another folder. So now I'm going to actually create a file. And the file that you're going to create in this section 2 at the end is called hello, I think hello world.js. Okay, so the JS extension here, right? And then again, now notice something that's happening here is that, and this is one of the things I really like about VS Code, it actually color codes things because it knows that you're working in a repo. I'm going to show you the command line to handle your what I'm talking about, your version control course, the workflow, but I just want to kind of give you some highlights here. And I'm going to do console.log hello world. And then to run this, right, he actually is just going to open up terminal. I'm actually going to show you this. I'm going to open up my terminal. This is terminal on my system. And what I'm going to need to do, and there's a couple ways to do this, but I'll do it the long ways. I'm going to need to navigate to this location where this is at. So I'm going to do pwd. I'm in my, and again, this is on my Mac, not on my PC. So I need to change into desktop because that's where I put it. And then in here, I need to change into CIT93. Yep, that's where it's at. And now I have those two directories, so I'm going to change into Rio _private, right, ls here, and then I'm going to change into JS Bootcamp. And now I'll see that subdirectory, and now I got one more to do. Cool. So now I'm actually in, you have to be in the directory where the file is setting to run node, right, and then hello. And by the way, this also works here, right? And then you get the output. Okay, so that's the way he's going to do it in the video. And that's fine to do it that way. But I'm going to show you the way I work, okay? Because VS Code has got, like, I'm going to go to edit, to view. I'm going to go to my integrated terminal. And I can do that right from here. So this is how I like to work. And then, what was it? Hello. Dash world. Oh, very nice. Why can't I do that yet? Because pwd, I'm in the private directory. I actually have to be in JS Bootcamp. And actually the other thing I could do is actually go ahead and chain on the next directory I wanted. Let me show you that. JS Bootcamp, right? And then basics, that, and cool. And now I'm in the directory, and now I can type. I'm going to clear. I'm going to do node. Right, hello world.js, and then I get the output of console log. Okay, so that's just a heads up about that part, but what we're really here to learn is the idea of how to now place this code now that we've written it out or push it to GitHub. So the first thing we do is do a git status, and so now we've created do a git add master, yeah, I see it here that I have one change. Anyway, that's kind of the shortcut. So what I'm going to do, git status should be showing that file, but you know, it may not be because I had actually added it and then deleted it. So the first command, and I show this just FYI, right, so in here, the first command you can do is do git add star. Now this is a little bit of a heads up here. If you had accidentally added other files, this git add star will add everything that's in that folder. So if you're seeing a lot of files on this git status here, git status should show me, and again, I'm not sure totally why it's not right now, but I can figure that out later. But I would do git add star unless I had a lot of files, and then if I wanted one specific file, then, and this is a fine way to do it, you tell it that specific file. So the first thing you do is actually add the file, right? So you add the file into your repo because, and now if I do git status, oh good. So actually now I have the new file, it's now staged, and now I'm going to commit it. So you stage, you commit, and then you push. And then the push is the part that takes it into your remote your remote repo. So before we do those next steps, let me just show you. Actually, I'll go to my GitHub here. So right here is that private repo for that student that I had set up. And so I just have this up now just to give you the heads up about where we're going. So now I've done git add, right? And again, once you do git add, you can do git status again just to see if it turns to green. Again, same color coding that we have over here. Yours may be different because of, well, for whatever reason. So now I do a git commit. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and do a clear. And there's actually F5, I think, or something, but git commit. Now, just slow down, M for the message, and then let's say adding code for section 2 in the quotes. Now don't, just be careful, look what I do it, okay? Because if you don't have all these pieces, sometimes it sends you into a loop. If you hit enter too soon, just be careful. And then that now added that in, and by the way, notice the colors over here changed. And so now we've added it into our repo, and so the last thing we'd want to do is do a git push. And so let me just tell you what git push does. And this actually might be, if you didn't get the login request, you may get it here. So git push, and you don't have to specify master because it is on the master by default here. You can just say git push, and then whatever has been placed into the repo locally will be pushed, placed on, uploaded to, in a sense, GitHub. So now I've hit git push. It's taken it just a minute, and I can see it's done. And if I go over to here and refresh, I should see, that's awesome, that, and notice what happened. It created the folder, and it created the subdirectory, and then the subdirectory inside of that. And if I click inside of here, boom, I have that. Okay, so I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna show you now how to submit. Okay, so right here, when you're at the listing for your what we call the root of your repo, if you come up into here, copy that location name, so GitHub CIT93 and the name of your repo, just copy that. This is how you submit code to me. Okay, so now let me come back over to here. I'm going to switch just a minute here because I'm actually not, just real quick, I'm going to show you how to submit, but I think I have to switch to the student view, but I'm wondering if it won't show up, of course. So again, you get to see a little behind the scenes of what happens when I submit. Let me leave that real quick. So what it is, and I'll go ahead and do this. So now this is before the semester starts. I've published that item. So as a student, you can now view it. Okay. So now if you come in here and you've completed all these steps, right, for the setup, you should see this up at the top. It says submit assignment, and it shows you're going to submit a URL. So all you have to do here is copy and paste that. And then if you want to give me a comment, you're welcome to do that, and you can just submit the assignment. And then what I will do is go look at, now this first code run, easy peasy, no problem, right? But that's how you submit it. So I just want to show you that. And then I'm not going to submit this right now. I'm actually going to leave the student view, but that's how you should see it. So the last thing I'm going to say here is I know that I have seen students walk through this first day of having GitHub thrown at them the first assignment, and it can throw them off a little bit. So I do want to say this: if you run into any issues with getting your GitHub set up locally and doing push, you can go ahead and do this work from the web interface. But I'm going to say by the end of the second week, you got to have this stuff worked out, either coming to see me or whatever. So let me just show you up in GitHub. Right, let me move over to Firefox. So you can actually create files. So as an example, if I was creating this JS bootcamp, and again, I would only do this if I was having problems locally, and the reason I caveat this is that this may end up later if you don't solve these problems, creating other stuff that you don't want to deal with. Okay, so just FYI. So let's say in here, I still wanted to have that directory structure, because if you're using the interface from GitHub, you still need to have that JS bootcamp. Now I can't do this because I already have that, and I'm just going to say -A. I can't do that directory. And then notice what it does. I hit tab there, and then what it did is I went ahead and it created that directory, and then I could type that hello world.js, and then I could just do console, no, not log, hello. Okay, there we go. Now again, this doesn't make sense to do this unless you absolutely run into something else, and this gives you some default things and you could commit the file. So I want to show you there is a workaround to get this stuff done, but make sure if you're running into issues here, right? If you're running into any kind of issues here, that you're coming to get help, because that's the way. And again, we have chat. You can ask me on there, but hopefully you got all that done and no problem. So hopefully that helps you out and you have an idea now about how this course works as far as the code and how you submit the code. Obviously the most important thing. And then the next thing I'll do is actually work on our first learn together, where we'll actually set up the public repo, and I'll show you how to take print screens and then put it in here. So that'll be the next step for you. Talk to you later. Bye.